Well, hello, hello, hello. I am so excited about today's networking opportunity. We have some powerhouse women here to share with you today. I'm excited about the season that we're in. I'm trying to be positive about celebrating Women's History Month. Because those of you that know me, I have an issue with we get a month.
Mm.
No, we need to be celebrated every day of every year of every month. I see Rosa shaking her head, so I'm imagining you can hear me now, right? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yes. Wonderful. So the two ladies that I have here today, I believe are going to really, really help to push you and encourage you to be everything that you can be, not only in the boardroom, but in life itself. One of the things that I wanted to deal with, because it is Women's History Month, is the fact that we have come a long ways. When I was talking, and welcome Jenny and Dr. Rosa to the show, and I'll give them a little insight of who you are in a moment. But one of the things that was really important I thought for this month was to spotlight the fact that, as the old Virginia Slim commercial says, we've come a long way, baby. We really have, as women, we've come a long way, but we can't get comfortable where we are. That's the important thing. We need to keep going. We cannot get comfortable in what it appears we've achieved, because we have. The funny part is that where people are just now giving us recognition, they're doing it over the things that we've been doing all along. That's why I have a problem. Okay. This is not new to us. This is true to us. This is who we are as women, and that's what we've been doing. So I have Jenny Dewberry here, and Jenny is an influential elite international image consultant and personal branding coach who empowers women to step out from behind the curtain with confidence, clarity, and purpose. With over 30 years of entrepreneurial experience, she is the founder of People Power Consultancy, a firm dedicated to helping professionals refine their image, elevate their presence, and unlock new opportunities for growth and visibility. So obviously, you are very, very instrumental in what we want to talk about today, because as women, we've got to definitely step into who we were created to be in our authenticity. And then I have Dr. Rosa Colon Colaco, and she is the president and founder of Global Equity and Learning Partners, LLC, a consultancy practice that designs and implements inclusion, racial and health equity, human capital, talent development, cultural transformation, and change management strategies to build equitable and learning organizations. Rosa has more than 25 years of experience leading diversity, inclusion, and equity strategies, change management teams, human resource, talent management, learning and development, and implementing systems. And she functions across different industries: global pharmaceutical, health systems, academia, and government and nonprofit boards. So, as you can see, ladies, I got some experts in the room today. Seriously, I don't have lightweights here. I've got some experts. And so I want my chat blowing up as we're talking, so that, ladies, if you have questions for these two dynamos, you can ask them. So I'm going to start with you, Jenny, from a perspective, because all three of us have been out here in this executive space for a very long time. Okay, God has blessed us, but we've been out here for a long time. Where do you see us as women who have infiltrated the boardroom to a degree, but how we can, how do I say, set ourselves up for even greater?
So, if first of all, it begins with what we tell ourselves. That's the first step: self image, self awareness, the things that we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and then our level of expertise, and knowing that we belong in any room that we step into, right? And then presence plays a huge part in the opportunities that we not only are given to us, but those that we allow ourselves to step into. We have to be clear about who we are. We have to know that we're worthy to step into these spaces. And then we have to be confident enough to own the spaces that we're in. You know, not stepping into spaces and stepping into rooms, adjusting to what's going on around us, but allowing that room to adjust to us. And that only happens with the sound, strong presence. I think that's the beginning to any growth, to any opportunities, and to just expanding and being embraced for one, and respected, and then your credibility level, you know, being seen as credible in those spaces.
I love that. Rosa?
Yes, I think, Jenny, thank you for mentioning image. You know, sometimes we walk into a room and we tend to be even overconscious about our image versus
Mhm.
believing in our image and
That's
believing who we are. And I think it started with believing that we need to believe in our greatness. That's one of the things
Mhm.
I tell even my my family all the time, because if we don't believe in our greatness, others won't believe. But at the same time, we need to advocate. You know, one of the things that I've been reading a dissertation from a PhD student that I've been coaching right now, and the statistics about women. You know, 20% of the women population in the U.S. are women of color. However, how many of them are CEOs in any Fortune companies? Maybe 1.2% or 3%. And that hasn't changed for the last 10 years. So, one of the things that we do, we have a network, and then we need to keep asking ourselves, how does my network has the power to elevate me? So, and also, not only that, have we told them? Sometimes we're shy and we say, well, he's my colleague, you know, I know them for a very long time, but we're not very transparent to say, you know, I would like to be part of a board, or I'm in this role right now, but I would like to know, how can you share your power with me? Because according to everything you read about sponsorship, and I can talk more about that later, is that sponsors are people that have the power that we don't have, that can open doors for us, that can share that power with us and try to put it out there and give us visibility. But we need to ask. We're sometimes not very good at asking, something that men is normally very good at. You know, we just need to be very bold and say, you know, I'm ready, I have all this experience, you know, how can you do for me to get to where I want to be from the level perspective and the board seat perspective.
I like that. I like that. I opened up by saying that, you know, we're now just getting recognition for what we've always been doing. We have been the glue that made the corporations work for a very, very long time. However, we were silenced. It was like, as long as you were in a subservient position, let's call it what it is, and you were feeding whoever your boss was the information that they needed, they would take that information and they would go with it, and they would be promoted, and they would get all of these wonderful things. How do we ladies transition from um, feeling that subservient place is where we were meant to be? I saw a quote the other day that said, you were never meant to be on the floor. You were never meant to be on the floor. You were always meant to soar. All right. And I think, and I'm talking because the younger women, they don't feel that, because they know, you know, they've come into their space and their time after our ancestors, for lack of a better word, the women that have gone before us have paved the way. So they don't understand being in that position, because they just feel like they're entitled to it. It's like, that's the way it's supposed to be. But for our older ladies, the more seasoned ladies that have walked through that period of time where they were silenced, how can we help them understand the power that's in their voice and to use it without being that bull in the china cabinet, without trying to go out there and I've got to prove myself and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. But how do we help them just be authentically who they are? So, Jenny?
So that's a journey. It's a journey because we're digging and diving into the deeper parts of ourselves. Some parts that we have kept suppressed due to life happenings. Some of those things have told us that we are not worthy to be in those spaces. We have the hard skills. We've gone to college. We've done all the things, but something in our minds are telling us, okay, this is as far as you can go. You don't belong in this space. You don't belong in a C-suite, or you don't belong as the president of your business. And the only way to surpass that or get past that, again, is to do self-work. I believe self-image, the things we tell ourselves is what we become, or who we become. So we have to dig deep, do the work, know who we are. We have to know who we are first. Know who you are, know what your values are, what your belief systems are. If you get those things together, then you'll know how to move forward. You're no longer going to be accepting those roles that don't really serve you, or those roles that you know are less than what you're capable of doing. You know, just because we know or feel that we're experts in certain areas, or in that we have the knowledge to do a thing, doesn't mean that someone else that's looking at us feels the same way. You know, how we experience ourselves, others don't always experience us that way. So we have to learn how to use our voice, but use it in a way that's going to be impactful and that's going to elevate us. And the only way to do that, I feel, is to do the self-work. Again, it starts with what we see, how we see ourselves, what we tell ourselves about who and what we are. And then we have to work on that. If it's something there that's holding us back, we have to identify what that is. And then again, use our voice, step in that space, and know that we belong there.
I like that. Know that you belong there. I like that. Rosa?
Yeah, I think I want to build into the belonging, because one of the things I experienced as a C-suite executive for the last 25 years, it's not easy to feel that you belong when you walk into the door and at the table there may be somebody like maybe you that look like you, maybe another woman if you're lucky. And so I think we just need to have a lot of resilience. So it's not only getting there. And sometimes there is a quote I would like to remember the author that said, if you don't have a chair at the table, you bring a folding chair and you open it at the table. Okay? So I'm sure you bring the folding chair, they're going to look at us that we're weird, but we just need to accept that we're different. So, and we lead differently, and also belonging is something that we just need to manage, to understand that at the beginning the belonging won't be there. And I learned that sometimes the levels of belonging never change, even by being sitting there with the same team for maybe 2 or 3 years, because of their own differences and fears. And we need to understand that sometimes people behave in a certain way because they have their own things to work on. As Jenny, you said, we need to work on ourselves. Many people at the top don't work on themselves because they're already there. They don't believe that they need to change their behavior because they can be there because they're already there. So what it means is that sometimes we just need to have a lot of patience and maybe try to help them understanding not only with your own expertise on the value of women perspective. And in this era of AI, and I do a lot of work with AI, human-centric AI, and what you see in my background is my sub-organization need humans. So what I mean is more than ever, we need more humanistic people sitting at the boardroom. We need more humanistic human and also women to remind us of the compassion, the empathy of how the technology won connection, more than ever having women having that voice and being able to lead AI and also learn. This is the opportunity for us to say, well, if somebody's going to reskill ourselves, it's going to be women. because we already have what is needed from the social science and social element of humanistic that we need now more than ever, that maybe men lack. So we should be going after that.
I agree. There's another quote. You said, bring a folding chair. The other quote is, if there's not room for you at the table, make your own table.
Correct.
And there are times, and we're seeing more and more of this happen, especially after the 300,000 exodus of women happened last year.
Yes.
We're seeing more and more women now starting their own companies. And I think that that's something that we need to explore as well. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. We have to have enough faith in ourselves. I'm a woman of faith, so I got faith in God first. But I also have faith in the fact that He created me to occupy space, to occupy territory. And we have to get beyond that limiting belief of what we cannot do, so that we can get to the place of what we can do. It's really, really important that, we get to a level of confidence within ourselves that there is no naysayer, there is no heckler, there is no person that can box us in and make us feel inadequate. And I think that's really, really important. And I know that you've dealt with that, because now supposedly inclusion is a dirty word. Supposedly equity is all of a sudden something's wrong with it. No. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'm gonna turn this over to you briefly so that you can talk about how we get to that place of feeling that I am good enough to start my own. I am good enough to be in this room, because I'm gonna come behind you and talk about how we own our space. But you go ahead.
I think we need to use data to remind people not only that it's not that we deserve to be at the table, because by having that mindset, what are we saying? That the men, or the majority of men at the table, are the only one to deserve it? We have always deserved it. So that I want to make that clear. The issue is that it's okay through generations, I remember, and I live in the UK for many years. I remember that at the beginning, women were not allowed to work. And I learned a lot of that because I love the store Selfridges in the UK. And there is a TV series from PBS on the store. And the man, who was an American, who went to the UK, he used to own a department store, very successful in Chicago. They didn't have none in the UK. And he moved. This is an example of how a man can also make great differences. He moved and he opened this store. And he was one of the first that had the department store open. The store is still open. It's now owned by, I think, a Canadian company, Selfridges. And I'm not advertising them. It's because his leadership, he was the first one who gave jobs to women to be in the counter selling ties or selling scarves. So what I mean is, we cannot lose faith in men. However, some of them are natural. Some of them are going to say women should be on this store, because they're going to be the one that will have a smile, that we welcome, going back to the humanistic side. So he became, famous, and that's why they had the PBS documentary. So what he said is, we can use that example. His store had never become what it became without women.
Right.
So now what we need to do is, in our country now more than ever, many women who left our job market is the women of color, when they're 20% of our U.S. population. So you think about it, if people don't want to talk about equity, we need to talk about fairness. So how come when they're almost the majority, and according to the statistic, when women get representation higher, we can access a GDP up to 2.1 trillion. Demonstrate that when the woman is there, products are designed differently. Experiences are defined differently. We change differently. So what I mean, sometimes they need to see it to believe it. In that case of my example with Selfridges, he he knew that that was the way to go. For
Mhm.
those that are no believer, we just need to have data to share with people. For example, the statistics, how many are women. Looking into your customer satisfaction. Your customer, always go to the C-suite. I remember I was in a snack company. Their name will be, private for everybody here. But I remember walking in there. There are only maybe one woman on the C-suite. And when I start my talk, I talk about, I'm not here to talk about inclusion. I'm talking about your business. I want to talk about how selling where you're selling. If you don't tap in the Hispanic population and the flavors they like, you're not making money, or somebody else already. So
Mhm.
I brought products from the competitors. And I say, look, this is your competitors targeting things for
Mhm.
Asians, for Hispanic, and you
Mhm.
don't have much of that. So
Right.
women tend to see these things naturally. Men maybe are more left brain, looking into data, but not necessarily into. Everything is about connecting through emotions. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's the
Mhm.
idea of the New Humans movement, meaning that the humanistic is about, it's not only about, you're going to say, well, humanistic is social. No, no, no. It's about money. Because through humanistic, you can design product people will connect with. You
Mhm.
can also have connection with those people through your advertising, through the words you use. So we just need to emphasize that the way that we can not only get at the table, but stay there and ask for people to see that they need more is
Mhm.
by having a good dialogue with people. And sometimes maybe in the elevator, it can be on a train station, sitting on a train. Is that sometimes we connect with people, we meet people, and we
Mhm.
start conversation that can be funny sometimes, but sometimes you can say, what is your business? I can tell you what is my business. And they start saying as a woman, this is the thing that I bring to the table when
Mhm.
we are developing this kind of strategies in organizations.
I believe that we as women, we bring balance. That we bring balance is nothing against the men, and I'm gonna talk about them in just a
Yeah.
moment. But the fact that we are right brain and left brain, we're using much more capacity to balance a situation out, and we see it differently. And I also wanted, you touched on about, the gentleman that opened the department store and hired women. We sometimes go into situations and we're looking at the men being our enemy. And
Yes.
it's not true. It's not true. There is a much greater amount of people and men that are our advocates, that are cheering for us, than those that are walking around in their insecurities because they know what we're capable of doing. And if
Yes.
you keep that in mind, it is not that you're less than. Some people, and that's on both sides of the gender, but some people have a problem with your abilities to see a situation, your abilities to solve situations. And we have to get to that place where, as I said earlier, I was going to talk about owning our space. When you walk into a room, you have presence and you embrace that presence. It's part of who you are uniquely designed to be. Each and every one of us have this. But it is something about when you step into a room in confidence in who you are, people see it. They see it and they really will treat you just a little differently. They really will, because you can't be ignored even if you never open your mouth because of the presence that you have. So I want to encourage you, ladies, especially in that executive place, not to feel that you've got to go to the boardroom in competition. You go to the boardroom being uniquely who you are, just being who you are. I say this all the time. Your uniqueness is your superpower. We were not created to be Stepford wives. We were not created to align ourselves with everybody else and do what everybody else is doing and look the same as everybody else looks. And be uniquely who you are. And that will open doors for you in itself. Because when you are confident, this is one of my things, and I teach my lionesses this all the time. When you value yourself, when you recognize the greatness that you hold, you will never, ever let anyone devalue you again. It starts with you. Once you value you, you won't accept being devalued from somebody else. And again, that doesn't mean being an angry woman. That doesn't mean being loud and boisterous. That just means I am not going to allow you to put me in a space that I don't belong in, because I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table. And it's your loss if you can't see it. Seriously. So from your perspective, Rosa, because you have said, Rosa was just my guest on the Lioness Show, Unstoppable Lionesses, last week. And she was talking about the need for women in AI, in that AI space. And I'm like applauding that, because I'm in that space now. I just released 2 major platforms, one for businesses and one for ministries, and I'm excited about it. But Rosa, I want you to share on why it is important for the women to get in that AI space, because there's not a lot of us up at the top in those spaces, but it's important that we get there.
Yeah, well, I think I wanted to go back to what you said, and I always remember when I went to London to live and work, and the idea that people were telling me, well, we don't even know where your country is. I'm originally from Puerto Rico and Latina, and people were like trying to make me feel that you don't belong there, that I was not deserving to be there because I was not European. So even though Puerto Rican, we're 75% DNA is European because of the Spanish conquer Puerto Rico. But one of the things that we need to think about is how much people make comments that sometimes make us feel that we need to be devalue who we are. And I know I've been also following the chat. And I'm sure you are doing that thing, Colette. But I think we were trying to make it this less boring and more interesting. But one of the things that we wanted to think about is how much AI rhetoric you see when you wake up in the morning. In a way, AI control what we see. We wake up and we have all these places that push content to us. So you can wonder who pushed that content to you. It would be nowadays an AI agent, but definitely 90% of that content, or maybe 100%, came from AI. Behind the face of those platforms, there are people who develop the AI tools and the agentic AI. And somebody that is doing this work for many years, even before AI became AI, what is very clear is the majority of the people doing this platform are not multicultural or multilingual. The majority of those people are normally racially white, some Indian, some others, but not representative of all of us maybe listening and seeing us in this event. So what I mean is, definitely we may be creating bias machines unconsciously, because the people don't have the background or the context of how will this be experienced by people from different backgrounds, different culture, different literacy levels, different education level. So what I'm trying to say is we need to increase more women in this space, women that can bring that humanistic mindset into how will this tool can harm people. We know, and I know an experience for a colleague, AI can bring great perspective, but not all of that great perspective is correct, is accurate. In some cases, people are using it for healthcare questions. If they are depressed, they have mental health issues, they're talking with AI as somebody that can be helpful. And I know of a couple of instances that the person have become more hallucinated themselves and have become going back to places to mental health that they were already better that they got out to, because of the situation of not having this ethical and compliance lens. So what I'm saying is, you're going to wonder about how easy it is. Well, right now there are so many resources in everywhere of teaching individuals on AI, digital AI. With AI, you don't need to be a coder. You don't need to think, oh, well, I know I'm analytical enough. So I think before we started to say, I cannot do it. I'm just very opposite. I think women is the people that can do it, because we can balance the technical skills to the social skills. And according to the World Economic Forum, in reality, what we need is more. We need to maintain our critical thinking, because AI is really becoming a barrier to reduce critical thinking. The people are really relying too much in AI to write things for them versus giving them the content for feedback. So this is a moment for women to really come not only to the table of the C-suite, but to make AI a place to be leading with humanity.
I love that. I love that. And I love AI. I feel it's just a tool. Seriously. If it's in a bad person's hand, it's going to be a bad tool. If it's a good person's hand, it's going to be a good tool. And it's really just that simple. And I think from that executive perspective, you can use AI to help facilitate. It does not replace the human compassion, the human brain, the human connectivity, but it does help speed up analytical processes. And that's where I come from. That's what I love about it. I think that's wonderful. Jenny, thank you. I'm glad you're back. You had kind of went away from us for a moment.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're back. Your specialty is building up confidence. I would love for you to talk to the ladies about how they tap into their inner strengths and to be confident in who they are.
Yeah. So confidence, as we know, is a muscle. The more we do something, the more we tell ourselves something, the bigger and the more confidence we gain. So I always say, take some time. I go back to self-reflecting and think about the things that you've been successful at, whether it be big or small. Even when it comes to your image, you know how we get dressed and we look in the mirror and we feel like, oh wow, I've done it.
Oh, you froze on us.
Yes, she may have some issues with the
Yeah,
Wi-Fi that
I think
sometimes it's
she's
so
having right.
unpredictable.
Right.
And the weather out there has been crazy. Just to make sure, there's a lot of windstorms. I don't know. I know we've got people here from
I saw
Canada,
that. I saw storms. I was like, I have to
other
fly to Chicago
places, so
tomorrow.
I fully
I don't want no
understand.
snow, please, no snow.
We're back. I don't know what's
Okay.
going on.
I can hear you, Jenny, but I can't see you. Oh, she's gone. Okay. We're going to come back to that confidence piece, though, because I think that that's really, really important, that we are confident in who we are. I think what's also, I think she's back. There she is. Okay. There you are.
Not sure what's going on here, but I am back.
That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead. Finish your thought on confidence.
So I was just saying that the more we do something, and the more positive self-talk we give ourselves, that builds our confidence. And again, we have to do those things repeatedly. And think about situations that you've overcome. How did you get through those situations? And you use those steps to take you forward to the next phase of life. And speaking for me, sometimes we think that things happen to us when they're actually happening for us. And so we can take what we've learned from those situations, how we got through it. That's confidence. That's resilience for one, but it gives you the confidence to keep moving forward. So a little, again, inner work. Think about those things. Think about how you can repeat those steps that gave you that courage to keep moving forward. Think about when we're looking in the mirror, we get dressed and we're telling ourselves these wonderful things about ourselves. Well, take that moment and carry it with you throughout the day and think about and notice rather how that changes not only how you see yourselves, but how others see you too, and embrace you and accept you. Even though we're not looking for acceptance, we know who we are, so we're not looking for acceptance, but people will treat differently, as you said, Dr. Coylette. People will treat you differently based on that confidence. It's energy. They feel it because we are grounded in who we are. We've done the work. We've identified our strengths. And so that's where confidence begins. It begins right there. And then you carry it on internally, and then it's going to show itself externally. in any space you go to, in any situation that you're in.
Mhm. That's
Hmm.
good. That's good. Confidence is really important. Also, like, because you and I met as a stylist. You were a
Yeah.
stylist for an event that I was a part of.
Hmm.
And you had some really, really good tips, some things that I had not thought about in certain respects and in the clothing that I had chosen to wear. But I also think it's important to understand our own uniqueness
Oh yeah.
and how people will put you okay, so you and I had this conversation a couple last week, and I thought it was the funniest thing that there was this huge scandal when President Obama was president because he put on a tan colored suit. It's like, what the heck is up with that? I'm like, I'm just not, I can't get with, you know, being put in a box just because you're not dressing in the same manner that somebody else dresses. Um, a friend of yours and mine, Rosania, was telling me a story about this lady because I love to wear designer stockings. My stockings have all kind of different designs on them, and I've been like that since I was a teenager. I like the window panes, I like the fishnets, I like, you know, seams up of them. That's part of who I am. And in the quote unquote business arena, still not. Okay, in the quote unquote business arena,
Mm.
Neil told me a story about a woman that was impeccably dressed, but got on an elevator with a gentleman because she had on some different types of stockings and said, "Oh, I see the clown show is here today."
Mm.
And it destroyed the woman. Like, she was mortified by that. I
Mm.
think it's so important, and Jenny, I want you to touch on this. I think it's so important that even though I know how to dress professional, I'm not going to go out there with boobs all out and my butt hanging out and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. First of all, I'm too old for that. But beyond that, I know how to dress professional, but there are certain things that are part of my personality. How do we embrace our personality and still in professionalism be professional, but not let somebody, like the gentleman said to the woman, the clown show is here. Like, don't allow that to tear you down just because somebody does not appreciate your style.
Or understand it. Or
Or
understand it. So personal style is just what it is. It's personal. And so we have to learn how to bring our personal selves, excuse me, our personal style and our full selves into a situation, but we have to know the level of the room, the standard of the room. And so you can still bring your personal style to a space, to wherever you go, whether it's online, in a space, in a room, but you just have to make sure that sometimes you do have to adjust a bit. Because again, just like there's different layers to, so you have to adjust it to fit the room that you're in. Now, again, presence is one thing. We're not adjusting so that the room that we fit the room, but so that the room fit us. But our style has to be approachable. It has to fit the setting, and it has to help us accomplish whatever it is that we want to accomplish. So we have to dress to position ourselves to achieve that. So, ask me your question again because I've kind of lost it due to my interference here.
I was saying, no worries. I was saying, how do you still keep who you are, your personality within your dress? You're being
Hmm.
professional now, like I said. I'm not talking about letting all of this hang out and your butt hang out and all of that. But you like colors, okay? There's the status quo about the boardroom that everybody comes in dark suits, and you know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this, like, oh my God, this dark cloud over their head.
Well,
But you
that
might
has
stand up there
changed.
in a bright red dress, but it's a
Yeah.
beautiful dress.
Well, again, color talks. Color talks. So each color has a meaning. So again, you think about the impact that you want to make, the rooms that you are entering, and you don't want to, well, depending on the situation, you don't want to be noisy. You want to be intentional about how you're entering those rooms. Certain colors have different meanings, as I said. They make different impacts, and you don't have to be rigid anymore and in dark blues and dark grays and blacks, especially as women, to enter these spaces and be taken seriously. What you do is you add a bit of a statement piece, a statement color. I wouldn't say that you're going to go into a boardroom in a hot red suit. I don't think that would be very smart, but I do think that you might be able to wear a red shirt under your suit. You might be able to put on a colorful accessory that brings your personality into the room. We're not talking about your full edgy personality. So, if you're dramatic, there's ways to tone that down but still feel like yourself. So again, it takes practice, it takes know-how in order to do that, but you can definitely do it, bring your whole self. And I will share something. I tell my clients, especially when I first started, when color wasn't so acceptable in the boardrooms and such, you can bring your personality underneath your clothing, if you get what I'm saying. You can put on something really nice underneath that still makes you feel like yourself. A colorful undergarment, something that makes you feel good. And you're still taking your personality in there because it's really about how it's impacting you and not the room, so to speak.
Okay. That's wisdom. That's wisdom.
Hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, that,
So last question, because we're almost at that 45-minute mark. So ladies, we've come a long ways. As I said when I started, we've come a long ways. How do you see us, though, positioning ourselves forward? All right. Because we do need to occupy more spaces. Like Rosa was sharing, we need to occupy the AI space. We need to have, I believe, more presence in the C-suite space. How
mhm.
do we press forward to occupy more territory? Basically, we've got the intelligence to do it. We've got the tools to work with it. How do we position ourselves to push forward into it? And I'm gonna start with you, Rosa.
Um, I think we need to leverage the new technology to do that. Because there was a woman who made an experiment in LinkedIn. Actually, this is very relevant. I will be fast. She changed her gender for men in LinkedIn to see what happened, and
Hmm.
she got more requests to join companies, to interested for board, than when she had female in her profile. So what it means is there's still a big barrier when people even Google and find people out there. So what I mean is that we just need to be very bold out there to really continue to increase access. Now, equity is supposed to be a no word, meaning we need to have more access to opportunities to be sitting at the table. And I keep telling to Dr. Colette that we can only think about the glass ceiling of the C-suite. Nowadays, there's so many ceilings that we should be breaking. And sitting in any table that will give you influence is really eliminating that ceiling. It may be the ceiling of more women in AI, even more ceiling of women in the more for profit. It may be not only the CEO. So I just want us to also expand the idea of the ceiling and learn how to use social media in a way that you can get attention because of your talent.
I like that. I like that. Jenny? Rosa, while Jenny is speaking, could you please put your information in the chat so that people know how to reach you? Go ahead, Jenny.
From from what I do, a leadership presence strategist, image consultant, all I can say is be authentic in who you are, stay grounded and anchored in who you are, and use your voice and don't waver on whatever that is. Your opinions, your input, don't waver on that, because we can feel a bit intimidated when we're in rooms with predominantly male counterparts. Even for me as an entrepreneur, if I'm meeting with someone and they're predominantly a group of men, sometimes they do kind of make you second guess what you know you're an expert in. They make you second guess your work. So just stay grounded in who you are. You're an expert in what it is that you do. And we all do things differently. You and I, we can do the exact same thing, but we do it differently. And so I don't have to change my approach to that in order to appease someone else. So just like I said, stay grounded, stay anchored in who you are, use your voice, and do not waver. Put yourself at the tables. If they don't invite you to the table, as you said, make your own table.
Yes.
Yeah, and just stand in your power, because we do have power. We have the power to shift spaces. We have the power to shift thoughts and opinions about who we are as women. And I get this from a lot of women that I work with that are C-suite executives and administrators. It doesn't matter their education level. It doesn't matter what they've done for these companies and organizations. They are still second guessed only because we're women. They're women. And so, sometimes others try to intimidate them to make them second guess what it is that they're offering.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's true. I have worked in a male-dominated world most of my life. 28 years with Don King Productions, and then 12 years with a property preservation company that was headed by a narcissist. It was like, whoo. But at that same time, in both of those settings, I had to know who I was. I had to know what I brought to the table. I had to know my worth.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was very, very important to me, to know who I was and be comfortable in who I was. Okay. So I could bring those things to the table. So I would just add that in your confidence of who you are, know what you bring to the table and walk in that. Walk in that. Make sure that when people approach you, they're getting the authentic you, so that they can make their determination based on who you are.
That's right.
Who you authentically are. Seriously, I think that's really important. Jenny, I would like for you to put your information in the comments. I just loaded up Rosa's information, and I should have put this was Rosa's instead, but I didn't. So I'm just telling you guys. But Rosa, tell people how they can reach out to you and engage your services. And then Jenny,
Yeah, I
while
think I wasn't able to type in the comment, but I'm sure Colette can put it to as well. So in LinkedIn is Rosa M. Colon Colaco in LinkedIn, and also my email is Rosa CK, my initials, at globalequitylearning.com. So I'm looking forward to connect. And remember, we have the power to transform the business world through AI with our humanistic ways of practicing and our empathy and compassion for others. So don't miss the opportunity.
I think that's very, very important. Thank you. I just put Jenny's information in the chat for LinkedIn. And hold on, Rosa, I'm going to grab yours and put it in there as well, because we've got people tuning in from LinkedIn and YouTube. So for the YouTubers, I want to make sure that they can reach you as well. There's Jenny. Jenny, you keep running away from us.
What's happening here? I'm in a strange place. So
All right, she just keeps running away, Lord. So Jenny, tell people, I put your LinkedIn link in the chat, but please tell people how they can reach you and the services that you can provide for them.
Sure. So you can visit my website. It's peoplepowerconsultancy.com. My email address is info@peoplepowerconsultancy.com. So I help speakers, entrepreneurs, women in leadership become more visible. I help them to align their insides with their outside. I always say make your insides match your outside, but I help them align their internal messaging with their external messages so that they are, again, more visible, they're authentic, and they're more confident in how they show up, whether it's on stage, in a room, or on a Zoom.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
I love it. Well, ladies, I thank you so much for coming and sharing. If the ladies that are watching, if you guys have any questions for the ladies before we sign out, please put it in the chat and we will address it. But if not, then I think this has been really good. I'm grateful, as I've shared. I do have a problem with just being honored for 1 month. I have the same problem with Black History Month too. So anyway, it's just me, y'all. That's just me, okay? But I am grateful that we are being celebrated. I need to say that. I am grateful for the strides that those that have gone before us have made. And the fact that I've been out here in this workforce for over 50 years, I know the difference. I know the difference from when it started to where it is now. And I can only imagine what my mother and my grandmothers had to encounter. But I came from that strong African American Black woman family, right? And so my mother was like, she became her own entrepreneur very early in life. And stayed with it all the way through life. And so that's why I'm really passionate about women stepping out in that entrepreneurial field, not to feel that we are limited just to work for somebody else, because we're not. We're not. We have the capability to do whatever we need to do to step out there and to be who we can be. I'm going to close with this because I don't see any questions, but I'm going to close with this. If you be who you be, you will do what you do. All right? Be who you be, you will do what you do. So be all that you know yourself to be, and you will accomplish great things. All right. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you,
Thank you,
ladies, for
everybody.
joining us.
Yeah, this is great.
Just let people know they can watch the replays on LinkedIn and on my YouTube channel, which is Kingdom Influencer Life. And we'll see you next month.
Go
See you.
women. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Go women. Go,
Go
go, go.
women.
That's right. Take care.